Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'll be working at my local city Master Gardeners annual tour. And in today's video, I hope to highlight some of those gardens and maybe show you some ideas that you might be able to do in your yard. So anyway, let's see what they're like.
When we first started growing plants and having a garden, my mother-in-law taught me everything I knew about planting and a love for gardening. And I had these little stochesias in my first garden in Winfield. My husband and I were newlyweds, and an older gentleman had those, and I found one yesterday at the Red River Research Station. I had not been able to find. He was a godly man, and he loved training labs. So found that and had to get the lab to enjoy the garden and enjoy sitting there with him, looking at that lab. And when I drive up, it's almost like they're ours sitting there. I love lantanas. He was a Christian, and I added this as a tribute to my husband. We did everything together. This week we would have been married for 54 years. This part of the garden on the fence is a Lady Banksia rose. That rose is so beautiful. It's white and it has thorns. The yellow ladybanks don't have thorns, and we've got one in the back on that. I love this clematis, and I'm sorry you didn't get to see it a month ago because the whole entire fence was covered in purple. I can't even get it all on to the fence because so much of it has grown down here, and the ground was covered with purple too. This is a brand new Lady Banks rose that you can see they grow really, really fast, and that's one reason I enjoy them. This was my grandpa's water pump, and my husband, before he passed away this year, had just redone it, and I like that as a tribute to my grandpa. There's a lot of things that hold special places in our yard, and that's one of them. Here is a fence that my husband built when it's the white fence, I guess, that every lady dreams of, having a white fence and family, and there's my white picket fence. He had to cut out the pickets himself because they didn't make any just plain. I didn't want fancy ones. I love hibiscus, and this is just my way of saying welcome. It's been hard growing and working in the yard for a year here. I've had a lot of health issues and lost an eye, but I have adjusted to that and continued the garden because he loved it so much. This tree came from New Zealand. I got it at Forest Hill. The gardener there had 12, and that one is the only one that lived. It blooms twice a year. Every time the blooms fall off, it immediately just starts with another bud. It's like a tulip tree, and it's white, and it's beautiful and unusual, but I love it. I lived with my grandmother, and my grandmother had Althea trees. I found these and just planted them this week at Lowe's, and they're doubled, and I haven't seen any like hers until then. So I was really thrilled to get that, and I'm going to take special care of those so they'll grow up beautiful and healthy like hers. Our barn, we call it, is where in the back is where we kept his labs. He trained labs, and that is why the lab in the front at that memory part of our garden. And he was actually over two of the clubs for training labs and setting up all of the field trials. Sweet olives are there just for the smell. There is a bird nest. It's a bird nest this year in every tree I've got. And this is the other Lady Banksia rose, and I have to keep that thing trimmed because it goes all the way up past the roof. And it's so heavy that we had to reinforce it with steel pipes this year. It was so heavy with roses. Here is the spireas, and I added those this year. A friend of mine from elementary, junior high, and high school redid my fence for me, and I added these. There's 3 types of spirea. There's the traditional white spirea that we call bridal wreath. This one is the Jonathan Waterer, and it is like a fuchsia color. This one is a little princess spirea, and it's a miniature, and it's little pink, real pale pink flowers, and it's all the way down, alternating those 3. In the back, I really love this little section. I told you he trained Labrador retrievers. We had a grand champion, Prince, and his son was Cash. Cash lived in this little house, and Prince and Cash are now living in Arkansas with our son. And Miss B, our first Labrador retriever, is buried here. And I love mint tea, and there is my mint. And amongst the blueberries, I had one blueberry tree. We did for years and years and years, that one on the right. And I ran into this blueberry tree at Forest Hill, and I thought, maybe that's it. Our blueberry bush just must have been lonely. So I gave it another. God created man and saw it was good, but he knew he was lonely. And that's the way I've been. This tree, Satsumas, I hope we can keep this alive. I know it does well in South Louisiana, where we first lived, and I ate buckets and buckets and buckets of those when I was expecting our first child. These are some more spireas, and then the pink chiffon, Althea, the white chiffon, and the pink double. The other name, of course, is Rose of Sharon. He built all of the pergolas here at the house. I saw this Monrovia holly in Southern Living, and I thought, well, if it's in Southern Living, I have to have it. And so this is just a mixture. More mint, and that tree under the monster crepe myrtle is it's actually a winter. They tell me, the Master Gardeners tell me, that it is a winter honeysuckle. It does bloom, white blooms in the winter, and lovely, and I constantly have to keep it pulled down, cut down. This one is such an enormous tree. It's 37 years old. We built it, we planted it when we first built the house. My husband and I had the studs put up in the house, and we actually finished building it ourselves. I did all the finishing, painting, holding, a crown molding, etc., 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 while he did the work, and I did the finishing touches. And that was 37 years ago. These are all white spireas, and these, all of the lilies that you see back here are from a little small package I received from New Mexico when I worked for McGraw-Hill. One of the workers there, I went over to do some presentations for the textbooks, and she told me about her lilies, that they were purple and gold. And I asked her to send me some, and she did. And they have grown from all over here, from one little bit, all of the ones back there in the garden we just left. And 2 weeks after I got them, she was in an accident, and her car exploded, and of course we lost her. And I've been sending these lilies back and forth to all of her friends in New Mexico since. And you can see I've got plenty. This Vitek tree was cut all the way down last fall. Whenever it started getting cooler, it grows. It grows faster than any other tree I've ever seen. I had another by the pool under that pergola, where the pergola was, but you just really can't have one of those near a pool, because the blooms they're terrible, but they're beautiful. I do love the purple color. I'm a Northwestern graduate. We were, so I got to have that. Purple is for Northwestern, not LSU. And this one's one I always wanted, was a Natchez white crepe myrtle. I'm hoping it doesn't try to compete with that one, but they look like a big, huge fern. I'm told everybody that's been here today um, has just been in awe of the size of that crepe myrtle.